Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's episode of Fresh from the Cellar, we're going to be talking about a brand new game called Leaf. Leaf really said, what if I took all those crunchy leaves in my backyard and turned it into a board game?
Can you say unbelievable?
This lightweight game about all the leaves falling is hitting Kickstarter just in time for the fall. So if you want to know more about this game that I'm affectionately referring to as Autumn in a Box, then might I suggest? Hi, I'm Alex from Might I Suggest a Game, a channel devoted to helping you find your perfect board game. In today's episode of Fresh from the Cellar, we're going to be talking about Leaf, a brand new game from designer Tim Eisner on Kickstarter now. You might have heard of Tim from some of his previous titles like Grim Masquerade, Tidal Blades, and most recently the hit game Wonderland's War, but this new animal collecting and leaf placement game is light, fresh, and totally new. Today I'm going to give you a quick overview of the rules, I'll give my thoughts on the game after a few plays, and I'll let you know the types of people that I think would really like this game. So, will Leaf be the next Kickstarter project you back and be the perfect game for you? Let's find out, shall we? Leaf at its core is a lightweight tile laying and set collection game for 2 to 4 players that plays at about 20 minutes per player. In the game, players start at the beginning of the autumn season and are working to contribute to the health of the forest ecosystem as much as possible before winter comes. In order to do that, players will be guiding different colored leaves to the forest floor to gain bonuses, gather resources, and collect different animals that are preparing for hibernation. The main mechanic of this game centers around playing leaf cards to place these 5 different shapes of leaf on the forest floor in order to gain a number of actions. The number of actions you can take on your turn is dependent on how many points of other leaves you can touch with your placed leaf. Generally, the more the better. Now, the actual actions that you'll be taking will be determined by the color of leaves that you're touching. Each of the 5 colors has a different ability associated with it, so keep that in mind. Green leaves allow you to draw a new leaf card, which you'll need to play leaves on your turn. So even though it's basic, don't sleep on this action. Yellow leaves give you 1 sun token each. These sun tokens can be used 3 at a time to advance the season track towards winter, giving you acorn token victory points along the way. So make sure to collect these ones religiously. Orange leaves allow you to pick 1 animal card from the tableau. Now, I'm not going to go too in depth about these animals, but what you need to know is you'll be collecting sets of them so that you can send them to a nice cozy winter den to score points at the end of the game. Brown leaves allow you to climb the big tree. The tree is simply a bonus track that you'll move up on to gain resources and special actions. It'll give you better rewards the higher up you are though, so keep that in mind. And finally, the red leaves allow you to grow a mushroom. And I know what you're thinking, mushrooms? We haven't even talked about mushrooms yet. But don't worry, mushrooms are pretty simple. Basically, mushrooms are a great way for you to get residual sun tokens and some points at the end of the game. If you have a mushroom on a leaf and someone places a new leaf that touches that one, you'll get a free sun token. Now, when these shrooms start out, they're just little baby shrooms.
It's just a baby.
But if you want them to score at the end of the game, you'll have to grow them into full shrooms. If you can make sure that these shrooms are adjacent to each other, then you'll score big when winter comes. Players will take turns placing leaves and taking actions until the season track advances all the way to winter. When that happens, players will add up points from their hibernating animals, sets of full mushrooms, and any acorn tokens they've acquired. There's also a bonus for being highest on the big tree and some pity points for any leftover resources. And after all that, whoever has the most points has contributed the most to the health of the ecosystem and wins the game. But who are we kidding? If we're helping to save the environment, aren't we all winners? Anyways, let's jump into some of my thoughts on Leaf. Here's some of the things that I really liked about Leaf. The tile placement puzzle of Leaf, where you're trying to connect the points of the leaves, felt like a really cool new take on that polyomino tile placement combo building mechanic. I really enjoyed the limitations of the strategy that you had based on the leaf cards that you had in your hand and the board state. Sometimes you want to take 4 different actions, but you can only afford a leaf with 3 points. But because of those limitations, it makes the decision-making process a little bit easier. And speaking of board state, the way this game looks at the end of the game is just phenomenal. I mean, it looks like a forest floor in the fall, which is incredibly thematic, and I loved it. And it's not just the end state of the game I loved the entire art direction of this game, from the box cover to the leaf cards to all the little illustrations of the critters. I felt like this really helped the game feel immersive and make me feel like I was some sort of woodland sprite or something. The theme and the art of this game made me feel really connected to nature, which I think is great, and if it makes you want to take a forest walk outside after you play, then I think that's even better.
Oh my gosh, it's like Mother Nature's confetti. great. I love it.
The last thing I'll mention is that the gameplay is also really solid. I got a chance to playtest this one in some of its prototype phases, and I really like what they've done to balance out all the different actions. Whether you're climbing the big tree, growing a bunch of mushrooms, or gaining a bunch of animals, there's certainly multiple paths to victory for this one, which for me means lots of tactical decisions and a lot of replayability. Now, as with any review, I wanted to point out a few things that are a little questionable that you should keep an eye on. I wouldn't say these are things that I disliked about the game, but they're definitely worth noting if you're spending your hard-earned dollars on this game. So the first thing is the balance of the scoring. Now, I've had this same issue with games like Wingspan and Parks, but I feel like on the first couple plays, it's pretty difficult to determine what kind of actions are going to score me the most points. Because not all of the leaves are going to be played during the game, some games will have a lot more animals, some games will have you running up the big tree, and some games will have a lot of opportunities to grow mushrooms. There's always a little bit of randomness to these games, and you'll figure out how to mitigate it the more times you play, but it's just something to note if it's your first time playing or if you're teaching it to new people. The other thing I wanted to point out is that this game can end much quicker than you expect.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Once people start getting a little engine going to get them sun tokens, that last stretch of fall can disappear in front of your eyes. To be honest, the first couple times I played this game, it still took me by surprise, so that's just something to keep your eye on, especially if you're planning to do a bunch of actions towards the end. Anyways, despite these couple things, I really enjoyed Leaf, and I'm really looking forward to checking out some of the deluxe perks on the Kickstarter. A little birdie told me there's going to be some wooden leaves in there, and I think that sounds pretty nice. So anyways, let's talk about the types of people that I think this game is made for. Here's the type of people that I think would really enjoy this game. First, if you sprinted to Starbucks for your pumpkin spice latte as soon as you saw one yellow leaf in your neighborhood, and autumn is less of a season and more of a personality for you,
It's lovely, but I fancy myself in autumn.
then you should check this game out. If you like games like Patchwork, Lanterns the Harvest Festival, or Azul, and you're looking for another beautiful game to spice up your collection that looks like it should smell like cinnamon, cardamom, and all things fall, then you should definitely check this game out. And if you're just looking for a light, combo finding, tile placement game that's easy to pick up but tough to master, and looks just as beautiful on the shelf as it does on the table, then might I suggest Leaf. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Fresh from the Cellar. I hope this video gives you all the information you need to decide whether or not you want to go back Leaf on Kickstarter. And if you do, I'll drop a link to the Kickstarter down below in the description, and while you're there, don't forget to hit subscribe and that little bell button so you can get notified when I post new content. Anyways, thanks so much for all the support so far. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so I can keep growing this channel and keep helping you find your perfect board game. Once again, this has been a Might I Suggest a Game production, and I'm Alex, your board game sommelier, signing off.